Did we actually make it on time today? Ooh. That'll make the first time in, I think, 3 weeks, right? Hi, Internet land. I hope I'm coming through clear today. We've had some technical difficulties this morning, of course, but against all of the odds and despite many obstacles, had to come through for you. So, you know, I hope everybody's Wednesday is going well. I may leave the hat off because it's kind of warm out here today. We've got our lovely shade, but it only helps so much. What up, Mary? How you doing? What's going on? Um, Thank you. Oops, I got oatmeal on it, of course. What up, Steph? How you doing? Oh my god, I got my breakfast on my clothes. Okay. Well, before anything kicks off here or with that, we have not received our tax return yet. It is that simple. And part of the reason for that is that the guy who until last year, until this year, last year was the last year that he did it, because he was my stepdad and he died. So it's been kind of an adventure, you know? What up, Philological? Like on this end, anyway. It's been kind of an adventure, so, thanks for thinking about that. Thanks for asking about that. My return was eaten up by the system. Oh, I'm sorry. So I don't have, chunks of money to go spending on anything. This I've had since last year, and actually I'm wearing it because it fits me because I gained 20 pounds or some shit like that. So, yeah. Ah. I didn't sit here to complain, though. It is a beautiful day. And I finally got to make a video outside. I hope you guys can hear me okay. Like, you can hear the air conditioner now, probably. It is. Right there. Oh, thank you. We all wish we were less broke right now. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's not why I brought it up. I wasn't begging for money. Oh my gosh, I forgot you could do that. Thank you. Oh, you're hearing me fine? Could have said that yeah. I Everything through text sounds like garbage, and I hate talking on the phone because I never know when I'm going to be able to get off the phone, and like sometimes I need to get off the phone right now. And like actually this just happened like literally my mom was here. Yep, that's why I hit up yard sales and thrift stores for clothes. Right. Well, I hit up thrift stores for clothes because they have better stuff for a hell of a lot less money. But I mean, I guess it ends up being the same. But yeah, my mother was here on Sunday, so that was fun. And then while we were at the mall with my mother, my cousin called me, let me know that her husband was in hospice. So yeah, it's been a week. Oh, I started super chat before you mentioned the taxes. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Anyways, that's my best shop. Clothes have come from charity shops, right? Right? And you can find some really nice stuff there, and there's the thrill of the hunt, right? Everything on the rack isn't the damn same. Who wants that? And you're not going to be walking down this, down the hallway, the sidewalk, whatever, and have anyone look at you and go, oh, they got that at Walmart. Like my kids used to get teased for having clothes from Walmart. Thrift stores solve that problem too. Oh, I hate this, guys, but I gotta have a smoke. I'm sorry. My cousin is living with my sister right now, and so the two of them are, they have one another. And he was sick for a long time. I'm talking like a decade, so unfortunately it wasn't the shock you might think, but it was, for my own selfish purposes, it was a hell of a weekend because my mother was here who I haven't seen in 6 months and don't actually want to see at all. So, it was coming. Right. And had been a long time coming. He was sick when they got together 6 years ago or whatever it was. So, But I think that's the longest I've spoken to her in a while, so she must have been distraught. Yeah, no, I tried to be. That was taken out of my hands, long story short. I'm not the only person in my life, so, you know. We got to meet her new boyfriend, who is at least age appropriate. The man had his daughter with him, who is a couple years older than me, so I took care of my dad while he was in hospice. Yeah, right. Right. But so he actually did pass my cousin's husband, who's actually an old friend of mine. I knew both of them forever before they got together. Hopefully he is at peace now. Yeah. Hey Scott, what's up? What a moment too. My cousin's husband passed yesterday. No, she called me yesterday morning, so I guess that was Monday night. And like I got the call on Sunday while my mother was visiting that he was in hospice. And like end of life hospice. And it was just like, from my own selfish perspective, I'm like, okay, this is a whole lot. But he was sick for a long time. He was. So must be nice to be no contact. Like, I'm not. Must be nice to not be no contact with your entire family. Well, okay. My dad's in a homeless shelter, and he's gonna stay there. Thank you. Right. I had no idea they have people from 8 different countries who are supposed to be coming to his service. And I don't think I'm going to get to be one of them, ironically, but that's fine. There's nothing, I'm at best, not even tertiary in his life. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, he was part of the Mankind Project, which I guess is this whole thing where they work together to like try and not suck. So that's cool. And they have a bunch of stuff through that. And like his son called all them. So, and my cousin was telling me that as their stepmom, his kids really rallied around her. He has 5 of them. And they all agree. It's like, no, she's our stepmom. She's included. She's a member of the family. And I just like, oh, that's so amazing. It's weird how something can go from savings to spend so quickly. Yes. It sure is. I'm sorry for her loss. Like I say, I didn't really lose. I got to speak to him and ask him my big question that I had for him last year. So that was, yeah. It's crazy how things can look like a good idea at the time and then, turn out not to be. What else? But so, yeah, I guess he was pretty beloved by a lot of people. So that's cool. And really, like I say, he and I were not close, but like he was one of the spiritual leaders in the group I grew up in. So like, that's kind of where, and then he married my cousin. So like that all happened after I moved away. Like him kind of circling back around and being on the other end of the telephone again was a little strange, honestly, but yeah, and I don't know. It's going to take me a while to probably process that just because he was not a part of my everyday life. Yeah, it is a small world. Yeah. And like I say, the big thing for me is that my mom was here over the weekend. But, I mean, I guess that was the big event. It wasn't the big thing for me. The big thing for me is I mentioned this in the live stream chat, which is that I actually did figure out what my protagonist's core misbelief is. The thing they overcome in the character arc that's like the core theme of the story. It's not as if I need that or anything to properly write the damn thing. Because, I mean, anybody can, just about anybody can put a story on a page, right? And have a character that does things and whatever. But the core misbelief also functions as like one of the core themes of the story, because you're looking at everything through the protagonist's lens, and it's this underwritten, unspoken assumption. We all have them, you know. Uh, so, and it's just that because she's different, she deserves less from life, which is one of those things that on its face, most people I think would look at that and go, well, that's not true. And that's why it functions as a good unspoken assault, right? See, like, you know, and I know that this is it, because all the characters around she and all the other characters already function in their relation to their perception of this idea. And most of them think they're open-minded, you know, and consider themselves modern, open-minded, even-handed people because of the exceptions that they make. Oh, no. Only this sort of difference makes you a bad person. And so then that's part of the why it's not a happy story, because this is I'm actually at the part right now where her core group of friends, something happens that causes her to have ticked off a box. So now she qualifies as bad, and they really don't know what to make of that. So, but again, these are not going to be. It's unspoken. It's assumed she's built different. Yes, right. Yeah. No, it's not like the other girl's story, and I'm really not leaning into that. I guess that's what I'm saying. This is all assumed. This is the subtext. There's the word. This is subtext. Okay, this is not in the text. But I need to understand this as the author. I need to have these big maximal macro understandings. This is what I'm writing. Yeah, I'm writing this. Yeah. So. Yeah. And a lot of it has to deal with the themes that I talk about on the channel. It's all one big wibbly wobbly thing. My mind, it's just a different way of kind of working through these same themes. In a lot of ways. So it's going to be the kind of thing where if you're familiar with my work on the channel and then you read the book, you're not going to be shocked that I wrote that. You know what I mean? Like, look forward to reading. Oh, sweet. Thanks. It's fiction, historical fiction, like magical realism kind of thing. So, for the first 2/3 of it's a series of 3. It's one person's life that's split into a series of 3. And for the first 2/3, about, give or take, of the first one, it's pretty straightforward historical fiction with sort of a slow burn romance built in, to keep things interesting, because, well, otherwise it's just a bunch of foreshadowing held together with events, which that's boring. You need something else to keep you engaged, so the interesting stuff actually has time to arrive. But like, you have to build it, and I've encouraged myself in that way. You have to build up to this stuff, because it's like throwing a punch, right? If you just go, based on what, Victorian. Right now, we're in the 1870s. Yeah. The late 1870s. With witches, because we love witches here on the channel. And that's the magical realism part. And like, I'm really happy with that genre, actually, because I was thinking, obviously historical fiction, okay, gas lamp fiction, okay, fantasy, okay, but like, that's all descriptive. But like, magical realism is how it works, like, how can you just kind of have, that's cool. I'm glad to catch you up. I don't mind talking about it at all. I finally got, to make my mother listen to me babble about this stuff for like an hour the other night, and that was so much fun. Um, yeah, so, oh gosh, where was I? Yeah, so I was pretty excited about that genre because it describes how it functions, like how you can have a fairly straightforward narrative and then the character just kind of turns a corner and all of a sudden there's some crazy shit, right? And not have that completely destroy the narrative. And I think it casts back to how life is just kind of like that sometimes, right? It might not be something magical, but you're just kind of, chugging along, doing your thing, and you turn a corner and oh my God, life gets crazy, right? Like, that happens to everybody. And in her case, it's just witches, you know. So, obviously a lot of thank you. This is my happy spot. So, but the only problem is that air conditioning unit that's right over there. It's right behind the numbers. I don't know if you can. Is loud, but so that's embarrassing because I actually have an audio background, so like that the audio in my videos is not perfect. It's very embarrassing. Uh, yeah, this is my Echeveria and my aloe and my the one that's a grass. Sometimes witches just show up like that. Yes, right, exactly. And they're not as out of place in Victorian England as you'd think. I don't think that's going to necessarily shock people. Some medicinal plants, yeah, obviously the aloe is, and that one is, oh my gosh, I'm going to feel so stupid later that I can't remember what that's called because it's just the tall grass, the tall Asian grass. What's it called? The big bamboo. See, I knew it was going to be something obvious. And I have a basil growing over there. That's not so much medicinal as for food, but someday I will really, get it up and going and grow lots of medicinal and yummy stuff. Right now, it's mainly just keeping my sanity because I don't really have the time or the energy to invest in it that I would want to because kids and stuff. But excuse me, that time will pass. In the meantime, I can study and practice this and that little thing. Maybe we should bring this up a little bit so I don't have to slouch. Yeah. No, and I guess my mother is not very caught up in what I've been doing either. So that was kind of funny because she said something along the lines of, "Oh, if you ever get anything, that's put together enough to be readable," and I said, "Oh." This idea fell in my lap almost 2.5 years ago. I have the first draft finished. And what I'm doing now is going back and doing the second draft, which is important because I have, since I finished the first, because I had the ending, right? So I wanted to finish it. I wanted to get it all put together. I knew how it ends. So let's do it, And since then, I have figured out the solution to the mystery, which character the hero actually is, and it's not the protagonist. So that's interesting. And then, yeah, this core misbelief / main theme of the whole story, which, if you think about it, the idea that just because you're different doesn't mean you deserve to suffer for it is like the foundational belief of any kind of a liberal mindset. So that's good. That's what we want. As a foundational core assumption, we want that. That's good to have that baked into the very foundation of the story, right? And that's the kind of idea I want people to take from it. And maybe not on a super high conscious level, I don't want them walking away from it going, "Wow, she sure was a freak. She didn't deserve all that." Like, that's not. And I figure I'm pretty safe there because I only just figured this out the other day. So it can't be too obvious. But so taking the extra time has actually been really, really, really good. Because just knowing all the plot points is not, that's not all there is. And if I'm not really conscious of the core themes, then I'm not going to be able to massage them into the material properly, and it's not going to have the effect that I want. Because I'm being very ambitious here, okay? I am shooting for as high as I can get with this. I want this to be one of those books that has core themes that speak to everybody, for years and years to come, and I'm not, I don't give a shit necessarily if people even remember that I wrote it, but like I would really, it's the book itself that I really want. I mean, there are some really awful books out there with some really terrible messages that do speak to people in a deep way because of the core themes that they deal with. And that's what I'm trying to accomplish here. I'm trying to make as big a cultural splash as possible. Okay. And I think historical fiction may be one of the best ways in which to do that. Ask Ignatius Donnelly, right? Who is actually one of my he's one of my, I hesitate to say, I don't like look up to him or anything, but like I don't know if everybody knows who he was. Ignatius Donnelly was actually an abolitionist. Like he was a not racist. He was an anti-racist politician during the Civil War, who then like 20 or 30 years later in retirement went on to write a book called The Antediluvian World, which you may have heard of, which is where we get a whole lot of stuff about Atlantis. It was historical fiction written by one dude like 150 years ago. And if you think about how incredibly just widespread, all the stuff about aliens, all the stuff about how there was a great master, civilization back in ancient times that fell and spread all this around, like all that stuff comes from this book. And he did not write it to prove that there was, some great white master race back in history, because he was an abolitionist. There is no way that was his moral. But he did not choose his themes very carefully. He did not choose his symbolism very carefully. Right? And I don't think that he had any idea that book was going to have anything like the impact that it has. Apparently it was an influential work. Exactly. And I don't think he had any idea that book was going to have the level of influence that it has. But it has. And that's the kind of thing I'm thinking here. That is the level of effect that is possible here. Right? Think about that. Oops. I know, right? Like, so I don't want to make that oops. I want to look at, and he's just one example. There are others. Obviously he's not the only one who's written an influential, fiction book. Is he? There are all sorts of, and I think, that goes back to just the way the human mind works. Stories are just how we think. It's wild imagining that your work can have such an outsized impact posthumously, right? It is. It is. But here's hoping, okay? Like, I see what is possible. And again, nobody knows who the fuck Ignatius Donnelly is. And most people have never heard of that book. And if that's the way the mind goes, then fine. Because it's the ideas, the themes, and the approach to things that I want to get out, to really make as big a cultural splash as that. Can you imagine? How cool, how great, how. And so I am really trying to take my time and craft the symbolism properly and craft the themes properly, as well as making it a good read. Because these things can be so influential. And it's a big fat target to shoot for, and I just can't not, I'm working with big stuff here, and that's the level that we could get to. It's wild stuff. But my real nemesis, I think, if I had to pick one, is a lady who died the year before I was born. So like she and I have never even existed on the planet at the same time, and yet, boy, have her ideas had a big impact on my life, right? Ayn Rand, right? Come on, who wrote big works of fiction that have just have deep themes that are awful. Apparently, I haven't actually tried to read any of them because they're all this thick, and I have a life, and I hear they're awful, like, and they justify awful things. Like these ideas bring forth just awful sour grapes, don't they? But like the level of impact that has had, especially here in the States, like politically and culturally, oh my gosh. And her stuff doesn't even make any sense. Like on a big thematic level, the idea of the great and glorious few going on strike to prove individualism. I'm like, really, really, really? Like, I have to be misunderstood. Like, that doesn't even make any sense, okay? And at least part of that was her cult of personality, because she was apparently a very interesting person to know. Like, in person. I gotta say, that's one of the reasons I'm cautious about using fiction for advancing an ideology, even though I get why it's done. I tried reading Atlas Shrugged, but I had to give up a few chapters in. Why? Out of curiosity, like, seriously, what was the issues that you, because I've never even cracked it. I will one of these days. It's high on my list. Again, like with my own garden, okay? Like, so I'm not. Like, Ayn Rand's ideology only works out in the books because her characters don't have to abide by reality. Right. And so, but she obviously, has been effective at crafting the reality of her book in such a way that it makes the reader think, oh, I could do that, right? Like, at the very least, mine has got magic in it, right? So, just the style, it was really that bad, huh? I grew up in the area of where Stephen King came from, and he has had a big impact on horror and was influenced by a lot of authors and movies. You know what? That's true. I ought to look more into his, although frankly, the way he churns out, like, I mean, respect, okay, but that's not my style. I could not. Like I say, I've been working on one book for 2.5 years. Oh, I don't even want to think about that. Oh. I don't even want to think about that. Oh, Stephen King is a weirdo for sure. Definitely. Yeah, right. No, and that's one of the big, okay. If we're thinking culturally wise and like the progression in the future, what are some of the things that we as a society have discovered that we'd like to carry forward with us? Maybe the idea that people deserve to suffer just because they're different is one we could do without. We a lot of us have come beyond that. Stephen King is a weirdo, and he writes great books and has revolutionized his genre, right? So we as a society have learned that weirdos have our place, okay? And that's one of the core things we should probably carry forward into the future of humanity, right? We'll probably save ourselves a whole lot of strife and struggle and pain and murder if we keep that idea with us. So having it be one of the core foundational themes of my novel makes me feel pretty good. I like that a lot. And I am half working through this stuff as I say it, so I hope you guys know this is not a prepared statement on behalf of anything. And I'm not saying anything about Ayn Rand was a great author or anything, but she was a successful author in a way that I hope to emulate, to counter her, ironically. You know that saying about like the master's tools will never be able to use to dismantle the master's house? I would like to have someone explain that to me in a way that actually makes any sense, because I find life would be intolerably boring without the weirdos. Yeah. Well, and everyone is in some way, right? That's the other thing, is that, everyone has that experience at some point, at least when they're a kid, of feeling singled out. and scared because of that, right? Everyone has that experience at least a little bit. So it will also be universally relatable. Like, those really oddballs, even the ones that are a bit much to be around, imagine how shit life would be if you never ran into any of those. What would we do for entertainment? The entertainment industry is chock full of those people. There's the spot for them in this world, right? He did a lot of coke back in the day. He got hit by a van and was really hurt. He got sober and learned a lot from it. Yeah. I mean, true. I imagine doing a lot of coke would help somebody do a whole lot of whatever it was they were trying to do. Definitely not saying anything bad about him being a weirdo. No. I know. But, historically, until the last 100 years or so, mankind was not so great about that. Humankind have not been so historically accepting of the outliers. We've not been so great with that. And I think it might have something to do with the fact that there is now like 8 times the population that there ever was. So we've had to come to terms with the fact that no, everybody's a little different. Right? We were put away. It's kind of sad. Hysterical went right. Or, the individual learned to suppress whatever it was about them that made them stand out. Right? And we've learned that that's not a good idea. We've learned that that's not the great way to do it. In Western society, anyway, I think that's maybe one of the core lessons that we have managed to learn. And I was saying this last week, is that the way our entertainment is structured now, you get 5 seconds worth of somebody doing something, and you're expecting to be entertained. So if that something is a little different than you expected, your reaction is probably going to be one of curiosity rather than revulsion. Right? It's all about the approach. It's all about the mindset. But so then you're training yourself to be curious when presented with something you don't quite understand. Which I think might be an accidental outcome of the scrolling algorithm thing. But I think it's actually kind of cool. And I think I can see it out in the world. That's a good point. In a tiny village, you might actually go a while without encountering anyone who's really long. Right. And by the time you do encounter anyone different than you, you might think they're bonkers just because they're so different. And now we were put in boxes and made to work for a small wage to pay bills. But right. But like, this is going to sound corny as all hell, but the human spirit cannot be contained. That's just true. Facts is facts, And that's what I'm saying. And it reminds me of a thought I was having the other day, which is that, science is great at measuring the measurable bit. And not calibrating, collating statistics, right? That there's always that human element. And that seems to be the thing that always throws the spanner in the works, right? Is that human beings are just, they I don't know. I don't want to go much further than that because they haven't really solidified much more of that idea than that. And I don't want to say something silly. But and have to backpedal. But that was the main thought, was that no, there's always this human element in there. And a lot of times it doesn't do what even we as people would expect us to do, right? The human element is the most complex. Right. And it changes constantly, right? Even you as yourself are not an individual necessarily, like a solid, yourself is in, an amorphous sort of, consciousness is hard. You can't measure consciousness, right? And that's the missing element that they never can take into account. That always, please don't blow away my umbrella. I need my shade. Oh. Human Factor. They had an Outer Limits episode titled The Human Factor. I bet they did. Was it the old Outer Limits or the new Outer Limits? There were like 2 versions of that show, right? I'm sorry, my nose is so itchy. I think it's, can you see the grass? There's this tall blooming grass, right? Right there. And my nose always itches when I sit over here, so I think. Butterflies. Sorry. Yeah, and my mind is definitely off in my book. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's video. I had to tackle that vice thing. They literally put that up the other day. I should put a link in the description to the video. But it's all there, except, like literally with the exception of a few seconds of quiet in setup. Oh, and I cut out part of the girl who makes the miniatures at the end. I cut out part of her story because it was just sad. It was the 1960s version, but they did a remake of the 1990s. Okay. Rockin'. So wait, are there 3 versions of that show? Because they brought it back a few years ago, didn't they? My gosh. You need to evolve and be flexible to deal with different situations life throws at you. Mm-hmm. Right, yeah. And we're very good at that. Which, makes it really, really just impossible to account for. Like, you would have to design a computer that can think like a person to even begin to... The Outer Limits. That show. The Outer Limits. Like, I know of the 90s version, and I had forgotten about the 60s version, and I thought they brought it back a few years ago. Again. Because to compete with Black Mirror, basically. Yeah. Like, it is a good show, And of course, I love all that stuff. All that weirdness. But like, again, as a student of humanity, I'm the person over here sitting over here going, but no, but they wouldn't do that. But, because like we were saying about how Ayn Rand's characters only succeed because they don't have to deal with reality, because they're in her book. And I find a lot of those experimental scripted shows to be that way. The characters do what the writer needs them to do. To have the story arc go the way they want to make the point they were going for. Which is fine. But that's not my style of storytelling. I don't know. That aggravates me. That aggravates me when characters... Only 2 versions. You may be thinking of the Twilight Zone remake with Jordan Peele. Maybe. So, it's like watching a retelling of a Greek myth. They do the thing that needs to happen for the story to happen. And you're just like, oh, that's boring to me. That's... and I don't think I'm alone in that based on how much stuff I have found about character development. I am not the only person who wants to be able to understand why a character in a story did a thing. Oh, but that reminds me, I saw a series recently that changed my mind on shows needing to be realistic for how people would react. Okay, like I'm saying, that's not always what you need to make your point. If that's not what you're going for, more power to you. You didn't fail if that's not what you were trying to do. The 90s version of The Outer Limits was much better than the 1960s one. The 90s episode had a lot of careful thought put into them. Right on. Sometimes having characters react to others in an unrealistic way can highlight what you need to get a certain message across, and that message is valuable to focus on. You're right. Did you watch the OA on Netflix? No. I haven't watched anything in a while. That isn't a Britcom from at least the 90s. So... Wait, no, I guess the IT crowd is newer than that. But damn, it feels like a 90s show. Because, like, nobody has a smartphone. It's a really good sci-fi show. Right on. But then somebody in the dialogue was talking about Googling something, and I'm like, whoa, that's a little weird. But yeah, philological, I definitely agree. And that's what I was getting at. That sometimes, as far as storytelling, character development is not what you're after. Sometimes you really do just need the larger plot to move in a certain way so you can make a certain point and illustrate something. And that's fine. That's just not how I think. That's not how I write either. So I guess I wouldn't have made a great Twilight Zone writer. For the Twilight Zone, there was the early 60s version, the 1980s version, the 2002-2003 version with Forrest Whitaker, and the 1990-2020 version, 2020 version with Jordan Peele. What century is it? Oh my god. Hey, and you know what? Love to Jordan Peele for making that work because he started out as a comedy dude, so and he's made the jump to horror and done it well. So that's always nice. I think we all appreciate when somebody can do something well, right? Regardless of who they are. I've only seen the '60s version, lol. Well, that's the classic version. That's the one with William Shatner in an episode on an airplane, right? So, classic stuff there. And it's funny because we get Sound of Children playing. Love Jordan Peele's horror. Yeah, right? Right. I loved his comedy, too. I thought Key and Peele was funny as fuck. So, I would wager it goes back to some kind of a basic understanding of, like, the human condition. The guy's probably wicked insightful, right? Based on his work. That's what I would guess. Key and Peele was super funny, yeah. In the 1980s version, Helen Mirren did an episode called Dead Woman's Shoes, which was the women's version of the classic episode Dead Man's Shoes. Right, you said she looked really good in those heels, right? You said that a few weeks ago. Oh. Sorry, this is driving me nuts. And what I just did, I don't know if you guys can see that. I was trying to hide it because I'm embarrassed. But what it is, if you lick your fingers all over your nose, if it itches, for some reason, that helps. I don't know why. Fun mom facts here. Jordan Peele's sci-fi horror movie Nope is very good after seeing unique alien life form. I don't know. Ricky Gervais' TV writing is super emotionally intelligent, but you'd never get that impression from observing anything else he does. He doesn't do another genre, though. That's what I'm saying about Jordan Peele, is that he can be funny and write good horror, which is a heck of a spread. She looked totally stunning in them. That's good for her. Woo! Hello, B. Were they red shoes? For some reason, my mind is wanting to make them red shoes. I don't know. I think about death, probably. I read The Mask of the Red Death as a child. It's tormented me ever since. It's tightly connected in my brain, I think. But yeah, so Ricky Gervais is good at being funny. But when I say that about Jordan Peele, he must be an insightful guy because he can get to both of those places, right? And most people cannot do that. Like, you guys think Stephen King could write a comedy movie? I'd like to see him try. I would watch it. I just don't know that it would be that great. You know what I'm saying? Ugh. They were black. The traditional color of death. Like, duh. Fucking Poe up in here, I tell you. I haven't seen any of Jordan Peele's sci-fi horror stuff. I only saw the body swapping one. Shit. And it was really good. It had the girl from Girls in it. So. And yeah, I just remember being impressed because I wasn't expecting to be scared because it's funny, man. Right? It's like if Medea were the horror that it should be. I'm sorry. I just talk about a guy trying to inhabit all the characters. I'm sorry. Jordan Peele's best TZ episode was Replay, where a black American mom and her college bound son were relentlessly pursued by a racist county sheriff. Ugh. There's a classic horror situation, huh? Ugh. Because I don't know, I look at Medea and I am mildly horrified, but that's probably me. You want to talk about woman face? Oh. Anyway, we had to put up an electric fence around our yard, like cattle pen style, because the dogs kept getting out and the neighbors kept calling animal control and we were going to get a big fine. So, like, literally speaking of sheriffs, that's what brought it to mind. One of the sheriff's deputies came by and suggested this to us. So, it is about as legal as you can get. It looks gnarly. And then whose dogs are out running this morning? People across the street called animal control on us. And my husband says, "Oh, did you get any pictures?" No, I didn't think to do that. I just thought it was funny. Whose dogs are out running now? Idiots. Ah. I went on with my life, And we've solved our problem. Ours don't get out anymore. Hooray. His cheesy episode, Not All Men, was good too, where a metacrit causes all of the men to become violent misogynist assholes. Then they discovered that it was all a placebo. And then what? That's not the end, is it? And then what? I mean, because the idea, obviously, I guess, is that guy's in all men, right? Like, that all men are secretly that way. It was written by a man, right? Is that a confession? Is that meteorite? Sorry, yeah, that is an O. Yeah, sorry. My computer screen is dirty. Regardless, I mean, that's the message there, right? Is that that's what's inside of all men all along. And like, okay, this is a part where I get to ask a question. Just because you have something in you, does that mean that's who you really are? And then chose to behave badly and use the meteor as the excuse. Right. And that's what I was going to say, is that, just because you have something in you doesn't mean necessarily that's who you are, because you're determined by your choices, right? Hey, I just found a pair of scissors I lost. They must have been lost because I just found them on the ground. How about that? Let me ask a question about my hair. Sure, ask away. That was what Jordan Peele wanted to say. No, yeah, ask away about the hair. It's an ongoing project. Okay, so that it's not what we have inside us that determines who we are, is what we choose to do with it. Yeah. Right on. Did I dye it darker? It was red, yeah, and it is now. Well, I guess we could just go out in the sun for a second. Oh. Because It is red. Naturally. There we go. So I might have some roots coming in. And I know. People like say, "Oh my gosh, you have naturally red hair. Why would you do that?" I just as an experiment, really. I liken it to having enormous breasts. Sometimes you just want to blend in. Yes, one man actively chose to not behave badly, and he explains this to the female lead. He chose to control it, keep it on a tight leash. Oh, thank you. Um, hmm. Okay. That's nice. There is people ask why I wouldn't dye my naturally white blonde hair. I just like purple and blue. Yeah. Hey, Critical, how you doing? Um, no sun there, cloudy and cool. Yeah. See, this is how I think stereotypically people would. Tennessee is supposed to be warm and sunny, and Washington is supposed to be cloudy and cool. I wasn't meaning to offend, but just curious. No, I'm not. I'm not offended. I'm not offended. It's like I say, my mom came to visit for the weekend, so obviously I had to re-dye it and make it nice and fresh. And the woman literally came up to me and was picking through my hair, saying, "Wow, you must have just done it. I don't see any roots." Well, I just don't understand. No, you don't. That's okay. Yeah, I know. You know. So no, it grows in naturally, bright copper red. And the fun thing about that is I have to go this dark in order to cover that. Otherwise, it washes right back out. Anything lighter doesn't cover it. So I'm either red or dark brown. I mean, I suppose I could just go black, but like with this coloring, I would look like a Discount Wednesday Addams. Classic Mayweather. Yeah, this is, I guess, classic Mayweather here. I don't know. It was raining a lot this year and last year, and I looked that up. Must have just done it. Yeah. Yeah, classic mom stuff, right? No, but apparently the Smoky Mountains are a temperate rainforest. We live on the edge of a temperate rainforest, which, like, I don't know, is probably a duh for some people, but to me, that's just cool as all. I'm like, what? That's amazing. That's awesome. How cool is that? It explains all the rain. And I just think that's really cool. Oh, and I swear I can almost feel it. It's so nice. It's so nice. Just this big, you know, there's a lot of natural energy around here, for sure. I learned that playing Zoo Tycoon. I learned that trying to figure out if climate change or changing the climate around here, because I'm not from here, so I don't really know if all this rain is normal or what. And people were complaining and saying that it was not. So I looked that up. And no, this part of the country averages about 50 to 60 inches of rainfall a year. So it is normal, and people just don't think of it that way. Apparently, the big town near here, the nearest town to here, used to be called the thunderstorm capital of America. So that's fun. No, it's normal. Yeah, right. Oh, I should go ahead and plug this thing back in, right? Because if I don't, it's gonna fall asleep or something. That was fun last week. My screen did not want to work. I don't know why. I still haven't figured out why that happened last week. I could not see myself. It's kind of nice though. I could just kind of chill and talk to you guys. You don't have to worry about how I look. Excuse me. Yes, we're in a temperate rain zone. Forest here. When you go over to the Ho River Valley, you see very heavy duty temperate zone rainforest there. Yeah. Which, I feel very silly because I knew about the tropical rainforest. And you'd think that they wouldn't bother to specify if there were not other kinds. Yee. Yeah. Maybe I'll get some B-roll when I go down the hill on Thursday. Tomorrow. That's tomorrow. I may go down the hill tomorrow. Where I live, people like to bitch about the weather and act. And I'm like, okay, you live in New England, close to the border with Canada. Why are you complaining about the fog and random weather? I think everyone loves to complain about the weather no matter where they live. If only because it's a topic of conversation shared by all. I also heard somewhere that, like, oh, I wish I could remember the stat. It was something ridiculous, like every third person in England is talking about the weather at any given moment, or some ridiculous shit like that. So, like, supposedly it's part of their national character to complain about the weather, and I just like that's anyone can say that. Anyone can say that. I feel like that's true everywhere. And I know that living in Indiana, they have a saying: "You don't like the weather? Wait 5 minutes, it'll change." And then I moved to Florida, and people said that about there too. And I thought, this legit not even the same climate zone. Like, what? It's a basic thing to talk about, right? I love fog. Reminds me of zombies. Never rains. My boyfriend's like, don't say it, but I always say it's good book reading weather because it's true. Yeah. Oh my gosh. They don't call them the Smoky Mountains for nothing. Let me tell you that right now. The fog down here sometimes, you wake up and you look outside and it's Silent Hill. But it's not. It's Tuesday. And you have to go drive in that. It's nuts. Yeah, they say that in every state, right? Yes, the British are masters at complaining about their weather. Well, I mean, yeah. And, like, they get a lot of it, but they don't really get so many tornadoes. Like, do I have any Brits down here? Philological, are you still there? Y'all get a lot of tornadoes over there? I don't think so. We had one touchdown over here around here last week. The week before, maybe? It might have been the week before because the big ones were still in school. And, people around here were panicking. And I'm from Indiana, so I just went, yep, let's go downstairs. We'll be back up. Don't worry about that. We'll be back up in 10 minutes, And the little guy, why was he at home? I think he was sick that day. Yeah, the British have a more temperate climate. In Montana, the weather really can change dramatically in 10 minutes. I think it can do that anywhere. It often does that there. Maybe interesting. Yeah, here tornadoes are common. Right, yeah, you're in Illinois, right? Yeah, like up there in the Midwest, you hear about a tornado touchdown, you're like, oh, God, again? I just got up from the, I'm glad where I live I don't have to worry about tornadoes. Yeah, they're not fun or anything, but they don't last very long. And the likelihood of them actually touching you or anything that you care about is quite small, even if they're, around. So, because even the biggest, strongest tornado only lasts for a few minutes. Unlike a hurricane that can blow across an entire continent. You get some hurricane overflow, but not the full extent of it. Yeah. Where are you? In the Carolinas? Am I remembering right? Oh. I'm trying so hard. I need to get a map and put push pins in it with everybody's name. That's actually a really fun idea. I'm going to do it. Get a world map. Where's my notebook? Oh. Tornadoes are almost an exclusively a North American phenomenon because of the violent clashes between the cold, dry Canadian air and warm, moist air up of the Gulf of Mexico. Interesting. Yeah, England. Okay. I knew it was East Coast somewhere. Yeah. I'm adding this to my shopping list for this week because, oh my gosh, how much fun. We'll put everybody on a world map. I don't want to dox myself, but I've told you where I live. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I swear, I would forget my own details if they weren't constantly daily relevant. Okay, like in the movie Twister, Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton had to deal with an F5 tornado. Yes, I remember that. But so, yeah. I was going to say, they probably don't have a lot of tornadoes in England because they just don't have the land to spin them up on. Like, you need the plains for, like, the winds. And again, growing up kid in Indiana, you learn that kind of thing. So just to look at the landmass, I mean, if anything, they might get typhoons, which would be fun. But I don't think the water is warm enough up there. I don't know. And anyway, you don't have to tell me where you live. I'm trying to remember where everybody lives, which is, I guess, a hopeless task. In England, we have a lot of hills. Yeah. So, fewer tornadoes up there. Again, we are in the hills in East Tennessee, so they do not see them around here. When they actually had one touch down, like in the county where we are, I was shocked. I was like, what? No. And like I said, the little guy was home, so it was exciting for him, but we just went down to the basement. Yeah. But I had to go wake the old lady up. So that was dramatic. Wanda, there's a tornado. Wake up, you know. We gotta go downstairs, you know. It's on the off chance that. Oh, my nose. I'm so sorry. It itches so bad. I'm so sorry. England doesn't have enough land. Doesn't have the stark clashes between northern air and warm tropical air. Right. Oh, am I from Ohio? You're right. I lived in Ohio, in Cleveland for many years. Until I was 13, I lived in Indiana. And then after that in Ohio. I moved from Indianapolis to Cleveland when I was 13. So. Yeah, Indianapolis is right there on the edge of the Great Plains. So they definitely get some tornadoes. More in Indiana than in Ohio, that's for sure. Definitely more than in Cleveland, because in Cleveland, again, you're up in the foothills of the Appalachians, even all that far west. It's amazing. And it's funny, you look at the topographical map, the Cuyahoga is almost kind of where you could say the plains end, and it starts to kind of. Like the entire east side of Cleveland is on a little bit of a slope like that. Just a little bit of an incline, like the entire side of town. It's on this tiny grade towards the river. Oklahoma is the tornado capital of the U.S. Yeah. England is more temperate. Right. Which, you know. And I had always heard, what I had always understood it is that the rain, a lot of the rain that they do have in England is because of the meeting of the warm and the cool air, or the warm air being the Gulf Stream from the Gulf of Mexico, where it for some reason rounds the tip of Florida and goes up across the Atlantic Ocean for whatever reason. Ocean currents, you know, who knows why, but so it's this big warm stream of water that comes and like crashes into the west of Europe there, which is why, you know, Western Europe is not cold like Eastern Canada, like it, you know, by all rights should be if you look at the latitude, right? This is my understanding of it. We're entering a La Nina this year, and that can mean more tornadoes in the south and central U.S. Oh, good. Thank you for the warning. Tornado season isn't actually till later in the summer or fall, right? Uh, again, and this is one of the reasons I don't know that even all things going perfectly, I don't know that I would ever want to leave this area. And that's a large part of the reason why, because it is pretty geographically sound. It is insulated from tornadoes and hurricanes. It gets plenty of rain. Just like generic life wise, we're fairly set here. It's hard to argue with a lot of that. We have all 4 seasons. It's fairly. Gulf Stream goes along the U.S. East Coast. The warm, moist air from the Gulf of Mexico is what produces tornadoes. Right, the air, not the water. I'm talking about the water. Ocean currents. There's something you didn't think you were going to get to learn about when you tuned into my channel today, huh? We should probably get back to point, right? And I started to say this, and then I got off track somehow. Oh, I can't imagine how that happened. I'm not distractible. Do I have the same? Yes, I do. I think. I haven't changed my, it's the 0919. Sweet. Let's see if I can. Oh yeah, right on. Okay, cool. Cool. We have talked about that. Yes, I know my disk space is running low. Go away. Back on Easter 2020, Aaron Thomas stayed on the air to warn everyone in the Chattanooga area of the tornadoes that were touching down. That's good. Do not read it. Yeah, no, I got you. Were you there in Chattanooga? Like Chattanooga is not by where we are. There are a lot of, there's a good portion of Tennessee that is, down in the river valley, the Mississippi River Valley, which is no joke as river valleys go, right? So we are not involved in that. We are far, Tennessee is this long skinny thing, and we're at the other end. It's kind of split into 2 halves as far as like climate regions go because of that. One half of it being in or related to the Mississippi River Valley, and then the other half being in or related to the Smoky Mountains, and we're the other half. So. She did this despite the very real danger of a tornado hitting her. Yeah, right, yeah. And that's great. That's great. I just don't know how you know some of these things. I don't know who Aaron Thomas is. I mean, that's amazing. But, like, I was here in 2020, and I don't remember storms being like that. But again, Chattanooga is not really near here. So, I mean, compared to where you are, it's near here. Like if the 2 of us were going to set off driving in a race to Chattanooga, I would win by days. But still, it would take me all day to get there. I watched the TV show Nashville with Connie Britton. Most of it was filmed in Tennessee. Okay. Did they feature that in the show? Right on. It's good that they filmed it in Tennessee because I guess it was probably set here, right? Being called Nashville and all that. Um, where does Amazon Business want to pester me? That's silly. When I actually have a business. That was a big part of where this all started from. Yes, Tennessee is very far from here. A very long drive. Yeah, right. Oh, it'll take you a week. That's, you don't stop to sleep very long. Anyway. No, yeah, because I started initially, it's like, okay, so I have this media thing, and I want to get my voice out there. I want to put my voice out there. I want to put my voice out there. I actually want to be part of the conversation. And in order to do that, you have to get people's attention. You know, you can't just scream into the void and have anyone, expect people to give a shit other than to tell you to shut up, right? You have to actually add something to the conversation for anyone to, hopefully you see where I'm going with this. So I'm looking at the video content, is it worth engaging with? Am I actually saying anything worth saying, And I kind of got that up and running and figuring out what it is I want to say with that. That started with the blog. So by the time I got to the YouTube channel, I had a pretty good idea what I was trying to say. But then even then, aside from the fact that like I was saying, nobody wants to listen to a nasty bigoted turf anyway, right? So that's been easy and fun. Would take 5 to 6 days. Nice. That's like a week. So actually getting the channel off the ground has been a nightmare. Because of what I want to say. But it's not like there's nobody out there wants to hear it, right? It's the powers that be have decided that this is an unpopular perspective, is what it is. Which, I'm a middle-aged woman. I kind of anticipated that. Sucks to be them. I'm not surprised at the pushback there. I'm not. I was literally going in expecting, some kind of pushback like that. But there are other middle-aged women out there. There are other women out there. There are other people out there who relate to the stuff that I say. It's not that the audience doesn't exist. I have an unpopular opinion. Which one is that? You might have to be more specific. I have a few, I think. It's that one in particular, though, that men can't be women, right? That's the one that really got me into trouble, has gotten me into trouble, and probably will continue to get me into trouble. But that's, I have a right to my opinion, first of all. I have a right to speak my opinion, but it's not even about that. It's that there are other people who relate to what I am saying. The audience exists, right? I see that demonstrated over and over again. You're not nasty and bigoted at all. Thank you. That's why I stuck around. I can't stand any other TERFs, except like Kathleen Stocking and Stella O'Malley. You probably don't know them personally. Although if you do, that'd be wicked cool. You agree with me. Right. And philological, you agree with me on that too, right? Like you don't think of yourself as a woman. That is, we don't disagree on that, I don't think. And as far as the nitty gritty, political and material outgrowths of that, my women friends in their 60s and 70s are very outspoken on a lot of topics. Yeah. So it's more, and that was a big part of the reason I wanted to go ahead and get it in the conversation, honestly, is because I didn't see a lot of representation of that specific worldview, like anywhere. And I'm just like, okay, I know there are other women out there between the ages of 30 and 70. I know there are. What are they doing? Like, literally the only ones you hear about are the ones who are successfully pretending to be men in some way. I'm like, that's not, no. Oh, thank you. I try, Which is funny because I think of myself as very not chill, actually, and I work pretty hard to chill the fuck out. So if it's working, that's great. But like, isn't that always the way? Isn't that always the way? Like, I am me. Right. But a lot of times, the strong impression you get of an older person is actually something that they have worked very hard to counterbalance their natural inclination, which was extreme the other way. Like, well, again, I am actually trying to communicate things to people, and that's my priority, you know? And I know that not everyone is driven in that way. And thank goodness, because what a crowded field that would be. All right. I am 40. Yeah. Um Chill but righteous. Yeah. Yeah. And I love cheering on women like that. I am simply also not that. And like I have seen other women in this fight demonstrate to me that how much I am not that, because I watch them and I cheer them on and I just think I could not get in front of all that and scream like that. I just couldn't. You're 35. Yeah, right on. See, and I am also talking to the 20 somethings too, because boy, did they have a reckoning coming, right? Thank you. You know what I do? I feel driven to communicate these ideas in a way that is, I hate to say digestible because that makes it sound like I've reduced it to mush. I get that. My speaking voice is now relatively slow in part because as a teenager I spoke super fast Ben Shapiro style. Right. So a lot of the impressions you get of an older person are actually the way they have sculpted themselves and molded themselves. 40 is a nice round number. It sure is, right? Ugh. My nose is driving me crazy, y'all. We're also like the allergen capital of the world, or at the very least the country. So it's not perfect here. It never is. I've always liked talking to you. Thank you. I definitely remember you. I like talking to you too. Um, and it's actually been really hard in that way too. Like I say, I'm not that person. I'm not the screed, the screed, the person. I have hella allergies where I live. That sucks. Like that's gotta be what it is. My nose is just itching and driving me crazy. It's not running or anything. It's itching. Yeah. So, I've had to come up with another way to get people's attention other than just be loud. Because I'm just not that person. I have the ability to be loud, but it robs me of my articulateness, right? Like, my girlfriend has hay fever too. Springtime is bad for her. Does this still count as springtime over there? Because we're sort of warming up for summer around here. But, spring started in February, so. Because the South. Are you going to completely let loose and do a herbology stream once you hit 42? You know what? I'll do a herbology stream when they legalize shit, and I don't have to worry about anything anymore. Spring is April around here. Right. So, you probably got lots of nice blooming stuff by now, though. Late May. Probably nice and warm even up there now, right? So, if within the next year and a half or so they legalize stuff, that would be nice. Yes, it's still very much springtime here. Summer doesn't really begin until July here. It's summer now. Are you kidding me? It's 85 degrees out here. Look at this. It's summer now. This is one of those places where you look at the June calendar and it says the first day of summer and you're standing there sweating and you think, what?
Woman of the house.
Yes, sir. What is it?
I'm taking Mom for appointment.
Oh, yeah, great.
Okay. I love you.
Love you.
Bon voyage. Arrivederci. What's that? À moi, saucy. I don't know. Whatever Gomez Adams says.
I suppose it was French. Oh my gosh.
Whatever. I don't know. I make a horrible Gomez Adams.
Well,
I haven't tortured women in years, except for our marriage.
I love you. I would make a terrible Morticia anyway. So.
Too short for one.
I know. Would that we could all be as statuesque as, oh my gosh, what's her name? You guys, what's her name? Oh no. The best Morticia ever was. Oh, I can't think of her name.
It's okay.
I said the word statuesque and now I can think about it as Julie Newmar.
I'm going to swing by the store. I want to make Mongolian beef. Do we have any rice?
At least a little bit. I would look in there, but yeah.
Well, do me a favor. Just text me if we need rice.
Okay.
Because I got to stop by the store and get some ginger.
Okay.
Anyways.
And you're going to town first.
Yeah, I got to take Mom to Knoxville, so we'll just take care of that then.
Yes. That town.
Oh.
I love you. Drive safe. I'll go check the rice after I get off of here.
Okay. Say hi to the Philological. She's there, and all the others. And Scott. I remember Scott.
Angelica Houston. Yes, that's the one I meant. Rad Dad says hi, everybody. Carolyn Jones must have been the lady who was the original Morticia in the show. Is that right? But yeah, no, 90s kid here. Angelica Houston was only born to play Morticia Addams. Come on. The only role I've ever really, bought her in since, and this is my own bias, nothing against her. The only role I've ever bought her in where I did secretly think it was Morticia in makeup or something was Mrs. Tenenbaum. Oh God, what's that character's name? She has a great name, and I can't remember what it is. Angelica is Morticia. Right. That's what I'm saying. She was only born to play that role, and the only other character I've ever really bought her as was Mrs. Tenenbaum, who is essentially Morticia Addams, but as a real person. Carolyn Jones is the original Morticia. Okay. Yeah. Well, love and respect to her. But again, I'm a 90s kid, so Angelica Houston owned that in a way that few actresses own a role, and something to be treasured. And a lot of the stuff from that period has not aged well. Right? A lot of those old rom-coms and comedies, a lot of that stuff did not age well, but you can put on those old Addams Family movies, and that's the only thing that doesn't work is there's a couple of key plot points that somebody ought to have a cell phone for. That's about it. Julie Newmar was in an episode of the original Twilight Zone. Oh, callbacks. All right. Thank you, Scott. All right. Do you know why using the word statuesque made me think of her? Is that a reference that you got? Because I feel like I know we talked about that one not too long ago. Morticia and Gomez had the best chemistry. Right. And that's a pairing you have to do right. You have to cast that right. I've seen a couple of and this is weird because I've enjoyed Daryl Hannah's work and I love me some Tim Curry, but man, they did not work together. That did not work. I don't know why. That did not work. They were fully in love. Right. The characters are, yeah. And there's a world I wonder why there's not more fan fiction of. There is just an endless universe you could play with, right? Because the Adamses can do literally whatever you want. You can have an Adams of any sort, right? It's like the Harry Potter universe with the wizards, only more so. Julie Newmar also played a pregnant alien woman on the original Star Trek, where Dr. McCoy had to deliver her baby. Wow, that sounds exploitive as all get out. Okay. But man, 60s TV was pretty much that, right? Just it reminds me of not this Futurama, so this was scripted, but the lady who plays Uhura, I don't remember her name either. Oh, I'm having trouble with names today. Says about their achievements in the original Star Trek. She says, "Hey, in the 3rd season, I kissed Shatner. Like that's something she ought to be recognized for. That was some struggle on her part." And that was nothing but exploitation. I was thinking maybe because that was so notorious, I knew that was coming before I started watching the show, and I was thinking perhaps they had, scripted it somehow. No, damn it, I'm a doctor, right? Jim, damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor. Not an insert other thing here. Yeah, Futurama was probably making a satire of that, right? Yeah, totally. And no, but I mean, and obviously she's an actress, but she delivered it with such aplomb, right? She doesn't deserve recognition for that because that was them exploiting her as a black woman. And that's what I'm saying. Like, they didn't even give the character an arc where, like, they had a relationship or anything. Oh, no. Oh, no. Anyone who's seen this knows what I'm about to say already, which is that I believe it was, an alien was playing around with them and, like, forced them to do it. So, like, even the characters did not want this to happen, and you're like, what am I watching? Random because Futurama was mentioned as a bit of the new season, and it's depressingly bad. Oh, no, I had a feeling. I mean, because if it weren't, everybody would be talking about that, right? People would be excited if it were good, and I'm not hearing that, so I'm guessing it's not that good. I didn't even know they were doing a new one. Like, yeah, that's something that just didn't need to happen, right? I have teenage kids, so I heard about this, a couple of years ago. Wouldn't expect it to be good. Right, yeah, and it just didn't need to happen. Like, at one point, they weren't going to get John DiMaggio. They were going to do it without the guy who voices Bender. And I thought, no, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not. That's not even going to be the same show anymore. That's ridiculous. For real, the dog episode always makes me cry. Making new King of the Hill soon, too? Ricardo Montalban kissed a beautiful redhead. Oh, yeah. No, I know. It wasn't, yeah. I love Lucy. Yeah. But I Ricky and Lucy had an actual relationship in the show and off screen. So them kissing on camera is so much less exploitative than what they did to, Oh, shoot. I wish I could remember her name. Shoot. Oh my God, no. Is that the one where Bobby is going to be in his 20s? New Beavis and Butthead? No, there's what I didn't know existed. Why? What? There you want to talk about something that was a product of its time. Like, we don't need more Beavis and... What? I don't know. I didn't see that. Oh my God. It's a new season. Yeah, it's literally just a Futurama cast going through a bunch of current issues one after another. The voice actors sound like they don't give a fuck. Wow. Like, yeah, and they started doing that last time where, like, each episode deals with some specific current issue in this funny, satirical way. And it's like, you guys. That's not how satire really works. That's like zombie satire. That's like AI satire. That's like, it was bad. And we ended up with the push me, pull you. I mean, really? You guys didn't see yourselves writing that? And think maybe you should stop? That would have been a moment to stop. Yes, I Love Lucy was a biography of the actors' lives. Right. And like new episodes of Adventure Time on HBO. What? Now they're recycling stuff from my kid's childhood. He's not even out of high school yet. What? That's weird. This is getting really weird. They're just remaking everything because culture is dead. Why don't they remake I Love Lucy? Oh, wait. I guess they did for like 50 years. Never mind. Never mind. What am I saying? My favorite toy dog, Toby Terrier, had an I Love Lucy episode. He was a dog that interacted with the VCR. They have VCR on I Love Lucy? What? Anyways, yeah. Culture's not dead. And it will never die. And it's because of the thing about, you want to talk about callbacks, the thing about the human spirit cannot be contained. That's why. Because that's where, culture comes from. So it's wherever there are people, there will be culture. And that is actually a big part of why I'm writing the book, is because I'm trying to, do my bit in the cultural, what I hope will be a coming cultural revival. That's what I want to spend the last few decades of my life doing. So, welcome to the club. Shit, I watched Voiced by People I grew up watching on. Should I watch Voiced by People I grew up watching on Futurama is being redone by HBO Max? Weird. Early 90s toys and shit. Right, yeah, but like, my son, I remember I watched Adventure Time with my son when he was a toddler. Its first run. When they were still making the first season. Okay? We watched it when he was little. He's not even out of high school yet. How are you going to do nostalgia for someone whose childhood is still a child? What is that? We must not lose hope. Yes, and you know what? Thank you for helping me workshop exactly what that is I'm trying to do. I'm definitely actually going to have to go back and watch this one. Because like I say, all this is just sort of half thoughts, and I working through the stuff as I'm talking it out with you guys. I watched Adventure Time with my fiance since we were teens. Right, yeah. When I was in my 20s and 30s, they were recycling stuff from when I was a kid, and I complained about it then, and everyone's complaining about this shit all the time, and it doesn't even do any good, and that's the kind of thing that makes you scratch your head, because who's buying all of this shit? And they say they do it because it's an automatic cash grab, but like, no one wants it at this point. So that can't be true anymore, can it? I don't understand. I watched Adventure Time when I was a teenager, so yeah, Adventure Time was a really good show. Right, yeah. And that was going on 15 years ago. It was, but still. I hate all the recycles. I'm not buying it, especially when they remade Pet Sematary, my favorite book and movie. Wow, we're back to Stephen King again. Was he involved in that remake? I mean, he's an old man now, and I don't, that's always dicey, when you remake something with the creator, frankly, because there's always, those pet peeves that they had with the original that they've just been grinding an axe on for however long. So it was progressive and had a real storyline. Oh, the original did. Okay. Same. I could think of like 10 canceled shows I'd want another season of rather than another remake. Yeah. There's another good point. Absolutely. He was in the first one. He was the pastor at a funeral. Nice. Was he involved in the remake? And if so, how do you feel about that? And if not, was that why it was bad? Oh yes, the factory job of I Love Lucy was hilarious, and also the one where Lucy fell asleep on the Staten Island ferry and rode back and forth 5 times. No, but I guess what I'm saying is they did remake I Love Lucy constantly for decades. That show was so successful that it spawned an entire genre. It's called the sitcom, the family sitcom. The Avatar: The Last Airbender live action remake is unbelievably bad. Right. Sounds like an AI wrote it. I've heard all of that other places. That's oh, it just told me there's an ad coming up. I don't know if this is the first one. This is the first time I've noticed that. Thank you in advance for sitting through the ad. Seriously, every little bit helps. King has endorsed the remake, to my dismay. That doesn't mean that he watched it. I hate to say that, but he might have just had somebody watch it for him. Like, hey, you're Stephen King. Just saying. Who knows? And if he liked it and you don't, he's an old man. You gonna sit there and let an old man tell you what to think? I don't think so. Right? No way. The remake is more like the book. Okay. So, and that doesn't necessarily, because we can even, all we got to do is go right over to The Shining, right? For an example of the remake, it's a lot more like the book. And that's one of the reasons it's not as good as the original film, because the original film, The Shining, is just kind of a different animal than the book. And that's okay. Because come to find out, trying to tell that story as the book is in movie form doesn't quite work the same. Like they're two different media or something. He just wanted to make the money. Oh, come on. We were just saying how that man's been churning out books for 50 years. He's fine. If he needs that money, then, I know he did a lot of coke, but he's still alive. He can't be doing so poorly. He must have some kind of residual to live on. Or the one where Lucy missed the ocean liner to Europe and she had to be lowered from a helicopter onto the ship at sea. They took off from Idlewild, which later became JFK Airport. Yeah. I actually knew that because of my obsession with the Beatles back in the day. Because when they visited the United States, they landed at Idlewild Airport, didn't they? Because they hadn't renamed it yet. In February of 1964, it was still Idlewild Airport. So, yeah, I actually already knew that. But for me, it's pure nostalgia because I saw all those movies as a child. I read Pet Sematary and The Shining in second grade. Wow. In the second grade. I don't know about Pet Sematary, but there's some shit in The Shining that's not appropriate for children. Mainly the adult male protagonist's inner thoughts. Yes, the 1980 movie was very different from the book The Shining. In the book, Dick Halloran lives instead of dies. Oh, yeah. That's totally the main difference. And that's actually my one quibble with the movie, the Kubrick movie. It's like, dude, that explosion and the tension leading up to that explosion. Come on. Spoiler for a 50-year-old book. Sorry. I had a college reading level, so I was allowed to pick my own books. Teachers didn't always agree. Yeah. Again, it's not the violence necessarily that I'm talking about. It's like some of the stuff that goes through that grown man's head. I was a teenager when I read it, and I was like, wow, okay. Here's a peek into the grown male psyche I could have lived without. I don't necessarily remember specifically what they were, but it was stuff regarding his wife, right? Like, it used to be New York International, then became Idlewild, then JFK. Never mind the child rape. Yeah. Is that in Pet Sematary? There's no child rape in fucking... There's only one child in The Shining who's alive. Anyway. People were like, you can't read that. You love animals. Says, yeah, and in the book they can come back when they die. Shining / it. The book had a topiary instead of a hedge maze, and the topiary scene in the book was really scary. Yes, that too. Yeah. So basically, like, just lose the whole hedge maze bit, like him freezing at the end, and like that whole yeah. Let's just switch that back. We don't ever know what really happened to Danny in that bathroom, though. Okay. True. But, like, that wasn't what I had assumed it was, I guess. but I might have to read it again. It's been uh, a long time since I read that one. And, the idea that there might be some subtext I missed as a teenager is totally plausible. That's totally plausible. Yeah, I have to look critically at my heroes. His name's Danny. I've seen Dr. Sleep, which is the sequel to the 1980 movie. I loved Rebecca Ferguson's Rose the Hat. She was one scary villain. At least my other favorite Oscar, JK, is doing good. Yeah. Is she in the news again? And I didn't want to bring her up as far as cultural impact, but that's a comparison that is obvious, and it's probably the one I started with because we literally have a Harry Potter magnet on our fridge. That just is there because one of our kids was super into that years ago, and it's a fridge magnet, so it just kind of lives there. Calling man out again. Yay! Go, Joanne. And I was just looking at that one day, maybe a year ago. And I think that was the beginning of the germ of that idea. It's like, how cool would that be? Because that's all I'm doing is writing a fucking book series about witches. How cool would that be? To have my magnet be, my stuff be like that. To have it just be sort of the flotsam, just like the background noise almost. Part of the background static, and have my ideas be there. Just kind of percolating around in everybody's unconscious. How cool would that be? Yes, they want to throw J.K. in jail in Scotland for criticism of trans men. Really? I grew up reading Harry Potter books when my 5th grade teacher asked me if I was into her books. Oh, right on. I was too old for them when they came out. I was already old enough to go, oh my god, it's popular and about magical kids? No, thank you. I have real things to do. So again, high on the list for when I don't have so much other stuff to do. That would be amazing. I still need to read your book. I'm going to get on it later today. Ooh, that would be great. I know I sent... email me if you need me to resend the link to that, because I am just desperate for beta readers. It's the first draft, so bear that in mind. But I would just love to have people's thoughts on it at this point. And I'm picking up momentum on, draft 2 over here. JF wrote the first chapter of her first Harry Potter book 15 times. I can't say that. I don't know how many times. I wrote it once and then polished it innumerable times. I don't know. So that's what's possible, And I love this live stream is really becoming so instrumental. The more I do this, the more we do this, the more we workshop this stuff. This is so cool. And explaining it to you is so helpful to me. Do I have a link? Yeah. Boop, 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 boop. I can send it to you. There we go. Oh, cute kitty alert. Where'd he go? Oh, yeah, it's Jennifer. I only have one published book. I wrote it in kindergarten because they made me. And then they published it? That's awesome. Yeah, and I'm just gonna Fred disappears after the first few pages because I have to go back and add him in because I left him out because poor Saw doesn't imagine this. The his actions have no material effect on the plot. Yep, they got all the monies. I made it super basic. Oh my god. What did you write it about? Was it kitty cats? Um, Fred. Yeah. Anyway, so I combined the two younger brothers into one character, and it works okay for the first book. And then by the time I got to the third book, I needed Fred back because his actions don't affect the plot, but his presence affects the other characters. So I got all the way through it. And before I realized, oh my god, no, I have to go put Fred back in. So he's there for the first 2 pages. I wrote a new beginning, and he's in it. He's in that. But then the core of the rest of it, he's not in it yet because I still have to go back and. Oh, it's gonna need some work. It's a pretty solid little thing. Like, it is readable, It's a pretty solid little thing. It needs some work. There's cats and dogs. Sweet. Did you at least get a copy of this book they published on your behalf? Oh, excuse me. Yeah, so a lot of the plot just fell in my lap, and that has never changed. But so when I say that I left out this or that, that's what I mean. This idea fell fully formed in my lap about 2.5 years ago now. And so what I've been doing for most of the last year actually is character work. And that's what most of the rewrites of when I get the full second draft really up and working and get all the work I want done. That's what most of it's going to be, is character work. You sent me a picture of your kitty. Oh. Oh. Little white nose. Oh, so pink. I love it. Oh, what's his name? Oh. Oh, and you got one of those cat tree things. Those things are also awesome. His name is Link. Cute. That's cute. Thank you. Oh. You don't mind if I show them, do you? Your kitty cat? I mean, I can't imagine why you would. Link, not Zelda. You don't mind if I show the picture, do you? You have a Zelda as well? My kitty wants her lunch, but it's too early. I never played the Zelda game because of Pet Cemetery. Okay. Here, look. Oh, I gotta bring the brightness up. Y'all can't see nothing. Look how cute. Oh my gosh. Very curious cuteness. Oh. That's so cute. Thank you. His little tongue, right? Oh my gosh. You never played the game Zelda because of Pet Cemetery. Is it featured in the game? Or is there a Pet Cemetery featured in Zelda? I don't know. I have 2 tuxedos as well. Oh, is that what that's called? I love it. It's so cute. Tuxedos. Yeah, I see why. I get it. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know the connection between. I've never read Pet Cemetery and I've never played Zelda. So, gosh. All of a sudden, what have I done with my life? Goodness. Zelda, the character, terrifies me. Oh. Which one is that? Right? Such a precious baby, right? Oh. But yeah, which one is? She's a scary character in Pet Cemetery. Somebody called Zelda. Oh, in the book. Okay, okay, and then the game has the same name, so you were just like, nah, nah. Okay, that makes sense. On Zelda, on Sabrina the Teenage Witch. No, 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 no. You know, and it always makes me think of Zelda Fitzgerald. Because apparently I'm a nerd. I don't know. I know so much more about her than I do about that game. Like, oodles. I don't know like a ton about her, but I know oodles more about her than I do about that game. Mainly because that's basically nothing. But love Link, he is good. Right on. The wife's sister that she had to care for when she was young. In the book. Yeah. Like I say, I didn't play that game growing up either. You know, and I guess that's probably why the character of my novel is an outlier because I am. You know, what other protagonist was I going to write? Melissa Joan Hart is in her late 40s now, and her latest Lifetime movie, Bad Guardian, was very good, and so was her performance. Really? You know, I was thinking about her the other day, and then I was thinking about Clarissa Explains It All. For some reason. And how her friend next door... Well, actually, I was thinking about Ferguson, her little brother, who is the one redhead kid. That's what it was, because now we have one redhead kid in our house. My son, the littlest one, has bright red hair, like me, but so he's the only one in the house with the bright red hair right now, and it reminded me of the show Clarissa, right? And I just remember that show, and I remember her friend from next door. What was his name? The teenage boy whose entrance is always involved slapping a ladder against the side of the house and climbing in through the window. Well, I'm not the first person to comment on this, but what is that, huh? What is that? My friend used to sneak in through my window because of Clarissa. Was your friend a boy? You know, like, was your friend a teenage boy? Like, it's a television show. And it was, a lighthearted children's television show. So it's not as if you'd expect the parents to make hay of that. But, like, they wrote it that way. Someone wrote that way, and everyone else was just like, oh, yeah, no, that's cool. That sounds fun. Like, make the neighbor friend a girl, and the whole problem disappears. Man, Melissa Joan Hart was also very good as a woman who had a serious problem with hoarding. Right on. I hear that she's, sort of gone conservative, though, so, I'm not exactly, followed her career. It's just funny that you brought her up because I was thinking about that show the other day and how, as a kid, they replaced it, like, its time slot with Alex Mack. And I remember being mildly confused because that is a completely different show. And I just thought, the hell kind of replacement is this for Clarissa? This is no replacement for that, but this is nothing like this. Because shows are different from one another. My friend was a girl. My dad would never let a guy do that. See, that's what I'm saying. So, from a realism perspective, and this is what I'm saying. This is why that's just simply not what they were going for with that show. I think that's what it is. I do. I think that's what it is. I don't know if she's conservative or not. Yep. They simply were not thinking about it on that level because they were writing a lighthearted kids show. At least that's what I want to believe. But I'm sure, there were some older kids who had an issue with that. And they were like, oh my gosh, my parents would never let my boyfriend do that. I grew up with Clarissa and Sabrina. Right, yeah. I grew up less with Sabrina because, well, I was raised by Wiccans. So, in the Midwest. So, the idea of a teenage witch did not intrigue me because it's not all fun and games. You know what I mean? Like, you know, somebody try and make a cheesy comedy show about your life and see how interested you are in it. You know, yeah. Yeah, I never got that he was creepy. He was just her friend. Right. Don't ruin my nostalgia. Also, I was super young. My parents let boyfriends sleep over. Okay, right. But so that's what I'm saying is I don't think the writers thought about it that way. They were not trying to send the message to young girls that they ought to let their male friends climb in their bedroom window. That was not what they were. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very kind of 50s Leave It to Beaver style level of like depth there, right? Claire Kramer is Melissa Joan Hart's age, and she was in a recent Lifetime movie called Chaos on the Farm. She was scary enough as Glory on Buffy, and she was way scarier in this movie. Oh, right on. It's always nice when you're sharpening your professional chops, right? They were like, if you're going to have sex, at least do it in our house, and here's some condoms. I don't know, man. Right, yeah, I don't know either. One wants to believe that they were not trying to teach young girls that. Mainly because it just does not have that theme at all. Like, you know, it might as well have been a female friend for all that I remember anyone ever making anything about that. Him being a boy was like, it's not as interesting to the plot as him having brown hair. You know, it was just not a plot point. He just was that. That's just how, you know, he was her friend and he was a boy. And isn't that kind of quirky? A girl with a boy best friend. How quirky. Hee. And it was basically that, right? I meant that's what my parents said. No, I know. And I'm not really sure what to do with that. That's sort of what my mom said. I don't know. Boomers, man. I don't know. And what I'm saying is that topic was not addressed in that show. Right? The fact that teenagers of that age would have been interested in that kind of thing was never brought up on Clarissa. That was not what that show was. That was a show for elementary school children. An actress who keeps getting better is Michelle Pfeiffer. She was 63 when she did the Ant-Man Quantumania movie and shined as Janet Van Dyke. No boys allowed overnight. That's a fairly straightforward standard rule, I think. I don't remember if that was a rule Clarissa's parents had. I do remember that they did have a last name, and I was struggling to remember what that was. That family did have a surname, and I knew it at one point. And I remember thinking it was dumb. And, you know, that may have been the show that introduced me to the concept of writing on a television show, because it may very well have been one of my parents standing and watching over my shoulder, watching that boy climb in the window and go, what the shit is this? You know? And yes, you were correct. That was a show meant for elementary kids back when that was right. Back when they didn't push that, you know, project that shit onto kids that age. Darling, thank you. Oh, like the family in Peter Pan. Interesting. Having rules. Yeah, and so, you know, the topic of teenage love lives was not brought up because it was not relevant to the audience, right? Whether or not it would have been realistic for characters to be like that, to behave that way, is not the point. And that's what we were saying earlier. Sometimes that's not what you're going for. Realism in your characters is not the point. I know all the unimportant trivia. I think I'd be great on a game show. Oh my God, you versus Scott. No, wait, Scott, you should mentor her and send her on Jeopardy, right? Like, because I think Scott knows all that stuff. Scott knows stuff about like stuff I didn't even think about. No, but I did remember that's the name of the family for Peter Pan, too. Wendy Darling. That's her name. That's funny. I wonder, I mean, that's surely a reference. And the boy climbs in the window. You guys, you guys, you guys. I think I'm onto something here. It's Peter Pan. Oh man, that's been staring us in the face for a long time, huh? I beat everybody at Jeopardy. Yeah, everyone at Jeopardy. I really, really wanted to be on Cash Cab. Oh yeah. I'm sorry that Mayim Bialik is no longer hosting Jeopardy. Oh, I missed that. That must have been fun. John Deere and Darling are the people on Lady and the Tramp. Yes. Right. Jim Deere. Jim Deere. It's Jim Deere and Darling. Yeah. I remember that because I thought John Deere is the tractor. No, but I thought Jim Deere was actually a name. Mayim Bialik shouldn't be hosting Jeopardy. Jim Deere, damn. Ah, yeah. No, that one got me because we rewatched that one a couple of years ago, and like it's set in the Victorian period, and I'm writing a book set in the Victorian period, so like all that green wallpaper in the kitchen. Oh my God! Like those are clearly new Victorian builds in that neighborhood. That's clearly what that is. It's full of arsenic. That's what that was. And it was just that color too. And I'm like, oh, that's very accurate. It's very period accurate. They knew what they were doing. The artists in that movie knew what they were doing with that presentation of that setting. They did, and that's the kind of thing that goes over your head as a kid watching it 50 years later, right? Like, whoo, Ken Jennings is hosting it now. And plus, with him, as he knows what it's like to be on the other side of the podium, which makes him empathetic to it. He's the guy who like won the most ever on that show, right? That's his claim to fame, right? Legit, it is John Deere. Wait. Right, yeah. John Deere is the tractor. Jim Deere is the character from Lady and the Tramp. That one, for some reason, that movie, again, upon rewatching it, I discovered that movie was ingrained in my brain. I remembered every line, every nuance, every song, and I'm like, ooh, there's my childhood coming back to haunt me. Wow, okay. Left alone with the Disney Channel as a kid. Yeah, that's right. He knows what it's like to be at the player podium. So he's more understanding when they're nervous. Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about Alex Trebek, but any job, if you do it long enough, gets to be kind of samey, right? So. Holy shit, you guys, it's 2 o'clock. This went by fast. We're having so much fun, I almost didn't notice. But, like, I do have to go because I have to go and pick him up at 3, and I need lunch. Or I'm going to just fall over dead. I watched Alex Trebek's final episode. Well, I mean, of course he's the best. You know. For the longest time, he was really the only. It was his show. You know. Oh, yeah, you guys. This has been so cool. I do have to go, though. Thank you so much for, hanging with me and helping me workshop some of these ideas. Like I say, I'm shooting for the stars on this one. But that means I have to take my time, ironically. That's actually something I've been working on this week. I remember when Alex Trebek did High Rollers. Is that another game show? Sorry. I do not have the depth and the breadth of your cultural knowledge, Scott. I do not. I tip my hat to you. Nice talk. Thank you, Steph. It's so great to catch you for the first time in a while, right? Oh, you guys, Critical Kitty, please let me know if you need a new link to the book. Stuff, let me know what you think if you get to it, Like, no pressure. Scott, how old are you? Yes, back in the mid-70s, right. Okay. So that would have been pre-Jeopardy then. My book, yeah. No pressure on that because I'm gonna be just chugging away at it. But like, yeah. Oh, I was saying something about what I'm dealing with this week. Oh, what was it? Hold on. But yeah, I'm just chugging on that. So, no time pressure there. That's it. That's it. That's it. It's that it's something so important. No, to me, and it's important to me, obviously, but like I'm trying to make it worth the effort. You know what I'm saying? Like I understand what can be accomplished with this medium. And so, I mean, it's a high bar, but shit, I'm going to shoot for it, right? And okay, cool. You got my link. Cool. And so, it has thank you. Thank you. I need to take the time to do it properly. Like I say, I had the ending, so I kind of rushed putting it together last year because I wanted to get that first draft done because I knew how it ended. So I just went for it. And then there's so many thematic elements and stuff that have percolated out since. So obviously, I need to take my time and do it properly, right? Like obviously, I was never gonna have what I wanted to have without any serious understanding of the larger themes, right? Like I was never going to be able to do what I want to do. So, but when something feels important, it can feel urgent. You know what I mean? So that's something I've kind of been coming to terms with, like literally this week. So thank you guys for hanging and chatting with me and listen to my voice. Like, Alex Trebek also did the Wizard of Oz. Okay, that might be the funniest game show title I've ever heard. They're always terrible, but that one's actually kind of funny. Was he the wizard? I gotta know, and then I gotta go. Because if Alex Trebek was the Wizard of Oz, I have to work. Yeah, everybody does. Everybody has life. I was kind of hoping my mother might look at it on her 8-hour trip home, but whatever. Good night. That's right, you work nights, so. Oh my god, I just realized I said John Deere because the dude is mowing our lawn. That's great. See, I knew I stuck around for a reason. Oh, that's great. I mean, the force be with you as well, Scott. Seriously, was he the wizard on the Wizard of Oz? I need to know this. No, I have to work like 10 to 6. Oh, but you gotta sleep sometime. I'm cool. Okay. I wish I had the sort of brain where I could keep track of everything everyone tells me. I've met people like that. It was another 70s game show before he. Yeah, I know. But did he play a wizard? I need to know this. Because the thought of Alex Trebek dressed up as a sorcerer's apprentice is stuck in my head now. And I'm just amusing myself. I think. It's killing, right? Me too, right? I need to know if anything like this actually happened, Scott. You're our line to the 1970s because I don't think any of us were there. Okay, like come on, man, help us out. Like Art Fleming was the first host of Jeopardy. Okay, 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 okay. We're getting there, but like seriously, dude, did Alex Trebek play a wizard on the Wizard of Oz? Inquiring minds want to know. I could just look it up, but this is so much more fun. Frank Morgan played the wizard. I don't even know who that is. Well, thank you, Critical Kitty. Did you just had to you just went and looked it up, huh? Oh, it's probably for the best. I don't need to right. Yeah. You just couldn't take it anymore. I don't know, right? It's Frank Morgan was the wizard, and he played 3 other characters in that movie. Wait, The Wizard of Oz is a movie? I thought it was a game show. I'm so confused. What does it have to do with the wizard? You could have told us sooner, right? But wait, is it a movie or a game show? I think. Oh, the 70s. Maybe it was both. I don't know. Wizard of Oz was the game show. Wizard of Oz was the movie. Oh, yeah. Right. Oz. The one with Alex Trebek. Okay? The game show one. Oz. To make that distinction in speech is not as easy as it is in print, obviously. But did Alex Trebek play the wizard on the game show? We're not talking about okay. Okay, well, yeah, that was Trebek. Okay. So perhaps I've even seen a picture of this somewhere. Him wearing like a tall hat with like a moon and a star on it. Am I making that up, or is that a real thing? Wizard of Oz was mid-70s, and Alex Trebek hosted it. Right. Have a great week, Philological. Thank you so much for hanging out and chit-chatting and everything. I know we're running over. Sorry for all the typos. It's fine. You're good. Oh my gosh. All right. I'll just settle it. Ugh. Alex Trebek. Wizard. He doesn't have a hat on. He's just standing there. How boring. So, no. I must have made that up, but it's still really funny. There we go. There's our guy. Do I have this? Oh, well, the imagination is boundless. The human spirit cannot be contained. You need high rollers too. You're right. But that one's less funny. Oh, that one's less funny. So yeah, Steph, this is when we do every week, noon Wednesday, middle of the week, midday, just bang in the middle. Because the weekends weren't working for me, everybody was home, so I picked a day during the week, and I just kind of started it in the middle of the middle, because then I figured we could, adjust it accordingly as, like if everybody had never heard of these shows, I regularly watch the game show at work. Oh no, that means that Alex Trebek's vast backlog of work is going unappreciated. How terrible. Alex Trebek did Jeopardy way different than how Art Fleming did it. Again, he sort of made it his own, didn't he? So, I didn't know anyone but Trebek did Jeopardy. Oh no. Oh no, what? But so what I'm saying is, if it comes to my attention that nobody is, people are, there's at least one other person, Little Big Plans, who used to regularly come, and like this time of day / week is a nightmare for him, So if it comes to my attention that there will be a better time for everybody, I am open to suggestions. Especially what with summer coming up, for me, it's about to not matter. Art Fleming hosted it for well over a decade. Oh, wow. Huh. How the hell sounds like this show's been on the air a while, huh? Wow, I had no idea. Time for you to go swimming? No, it's not the best for me either. Okay. What is good for people? Since we've gone over, we might as well stay for a couple extra minutes. Like, Steph, critical, when is good for you? I mean, I don't want to go a whole lot earlier, I know, because Scott, you're on the West Coast, and it's only just now. Anytime is good for me. Jeopardy goes back in the early 1960s. Oh my god. Anytime is good for me. I work the graveyard shift, so I don't expect any work around that schedule. I suppose. I figured midday Eastern time would be workable for most people. A little early for West Coast, a little later for anybody over in Europe, but it's in the middle. So. I guess we'll stick with this for now. What Kitty, did you ever get to say, yeah, what would be better for you? Because now we've been together for a while, and I mean, goddamn, if we're ever going to get that interview together, it's going to have to be at some kind of time that works for you. And if my regular time doesn't work for you, well, thinking ahead, that's dumb. But then I guess we'd probably pre-record it, right? I don't know. I've been trying to get this tech monster off the ground is what I've been focusing on. 10 p.m. 6 a.m. Right, yeah. I just have to go to physical therapy earlier. It's cool, and I can help you with the technical stuff. Oh, okay, cool. So yeah, I guess that would be my main question. My main question is, do you want to do like a pre-recorded thing that goes out as the premiere video, or would you rather have it sort of freeform and live and do the live stream? And then we will know what we are working on, right? Because first I was thinking one, and then I realized I slipped thinking it as the other. And then I realized I'm not exactly sure. I definitely know what we want to talk about. Either is good for you. Okay. Then I think I'd rather do the pre-recorded one just because that way I can present us both on our, I like those because that's me determining everything. I determine the setting. I determine how long they get to talk and what they get to, not you, but like the person to whom I'm responding. I get to determine how long they get to talk and what they get to talk about and who they are even. And you know what I'm saying? So that is me putting like literally my best foot forward that I have. Okay. And I would like to give you that same benefit. You know what I mean? To edit out all the ums and uhs and flubs. Then, if you say something silly and we laugh and then you have to repeat yourself, I'll just cut that out, so we both sound as intelligent as possible. So if either is good with you, I think that's how I'd like to go with it. I think that'd be best with my anxiety stuff. If I'm awkward, we could cut it out. Like if I'm right. And you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about dead air. You can take your time and think of what you want to say. Because I'll just cut it out. I do that all the time. Exactly. That was my thought. So I sent you an email. I don't know if you got it. And there have been further developments on that. I didn't really tell you anything because, I don't really want to dump on people. I don't getting really. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've got into the flow of it. I was pissed off for a minute because the software took my rolls, that little roll thing that I used between the clips. They took that away and made it like a pro only. So I had my web developer buy me the software. Because he's been talking about finally actually investing in this project this year. So I was like, hey, Jay, they took my roles away. Like, they're killing my style. They're cramping my style, man. I didn't check yet because I'm bad about that. Oh, okay. No, it's fine. That's fine. That's fine. You didn't get back to me, and like, there's been I didn't really say anything. Anyways, and like I say, definitely email me if you go to try and read the book and you cannot for some reason, because we can fix that. I use CapCut because it's free, but hell yeah, if you'll invest in it, yeah, right. And you'll notice, if anybody noticed the little watermark that used to be in the corner of my videos is not there anymore. So that's why. And if you go back, you can see which week it was that we bought the software, because the rolls are back and the watermark is gone. So, because yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm a good investment. You did see that. Oh, cool. Yeah, well, that's what happened there. So, and yeah, theoretically, we're supposed to have an ad up this week too. So, fingers crossed on that one. And it's so funny. I talk about bringing feminism back into the real world, and my method for doing that is fiction. And like, I do see how that is circuitous, how that appears to be counterintuitive. Like, I do appreciate that. But hopefully, if you guys have been listening earlier, you understand like how I am approaching that. It's a very broad approach. It's a wide net I'm casting, but that's the point. And to me, it all does come back to that. I'm doing a great job. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And that's the straightforward mission of this channel. That totally makes sense to me, though, because art can make you think. Exactly. And as an artist, you maybe ought to be thinking about what it is you're trying to get your audience to think about. Right? And that's what I've been doing over the last year, really, since I finished putting all the major plot points in order. I'm your favorite red fam. Oh, thank you. I don't know how many they're still out in the field right now. I feel like I don't know. I feel like there were a few that self-destructed in the last few months, or had something awful happen. In the case of one who, I'm not going to go there, but lucky me, I'm just still out here chugging away. And that is how it is all related, though. Oh, good. And we're going to have another ad here in a minute. So we'll stick around until after that to close it out. For any of you long-suffering folks who are going to sit through whatever ad this is, maybe it'll be mine. Who knows? Like I say, we're supposed to have one up this week. I'm not exactly sure when that's going to be coming up. I don't know. It kind of got toxic with some, so I stopped watching them. Or just hateful, if that makes sense. Well, it does. But again, like, the core motivation of my mission, I think, is just a little different. I'm thinking about different things. My goals lay in different spots. Like, not that I don't share a lot of their goals. But like I'm saying, a lot of the shit I'm thinking about is only going to really happen probably after I'm dead. So that's the level I'm thinking on. Speaking of my death. And somebody put it along as, someone put it a few weeks ago as, I'm just not here. I'm not here just to hate on trans people. Which, like, I'm not here to hate on trans people at all. That was never the mission of this channel. And I never, ever, ever wanted to stray too far into just bitching about that. As if there's not enough other stuff going on. As if feminism doesn't have anything else to do. As if women don't have anything else to worry about. Yeah. And I've always done my best to keep that in mind. Like, this week's video was about trans people. It was about detransitioners and sculpting of the narrative around that. Because, well, frankly, they made it, like, Vice made this video last week I did not go hunt down something from several years ago just to bitch about trans stuff. No. This is the current narrative. So yeah, I felt the need to weigh in on that. But generally speaking, I don't go looking specifically for that stuff. That's not my main focus, and I never wanted that to be the main focus of this channel, was thinking content-wise. And I do love brainstorming this kind of strategy stuff with you guys. Again, like keeping it all in my head is nice, and writing it out is great, but like, I don't know, there's a certain level of understanding you only get with something when you talk it through, right? This is super helpful, actually, for me, and we didn't used to do this all the time, but I don't know that I'd want to go back to not ever doing this, because not only do we have fun, it's, you guys are, you know, these conversations that are helping me hone the focus of the channel and all the stuff I'm doing. So, and yeah, I don't know. As a creator, I hate to use the word artist, but as a creator, you got to think, you don't want to repeat yourself all the time over and over again. You know, it's like I said in the email, I think some issues need to be brought up. The way women are treated in the medical system and stuff, even by female doctors. Right. And that's one of the things, one of the core problems, I think, that like, okay, the agreeing to disagree is one thing, and we've been over that before on the live stream, not this one, but a few weeks ago. That's key. They're like, here in this space, we have to agree to disagree just going in. And I think in any conversation, you just have to assume that you're going to disagree about something. Shit, there's probably stuff you don't even agree with yourself about. If you're talking to a whole separate person, if you're going to disagree about something, you should assume that going in. And then the other thing, we are all the problem. Me, you, everybody, we're all women, are part of it. You know, it's all in us. It's in all of us, right? Like the internalized misogyny, the self-hatred is in all of us, okay? So you can't make a club and be like, okay, no, we're the good women and the bad women are over there. No. It's never going to work. That's why that never works. And that's a hard pill to swallow. It is. Get that. And maybe I'll end up having to agree to disagree with somebody about that, but oh, for sure, I have internalized misogyny. Yeah, we all do. I've been working through mine for years, and it seems endless, you know. But on the other hand, it gives me insight. You know, this is the level of the theme I want for my book. Okay, I want an idea baked so deep into those words that, you know, they're just dripping in it and you don't even realize it. Right? Look at what is achievable with that level of thematic work. Look at what you can do to people's minds. Right? Why in the fuck should evil people be the only people manipulating this kind of thing like that? Why should they be the only ones using these powers? That doesn't make any sense. You know, and it almost goes back to, you know, who's the original different person, right? Woman, right? Maybe women don't deserve to be punished just for being female, right? Like that idea goes to so many different places. Often evil people think they are the good guys. Right, yeah, no, evil is so subjective. Right, yeah. Evil ideas, I said. And when I say evil, I mean destructive, okay? Misogyny is a destructive idea. The idea that women are somehow less than men just because they're female is a destructive idea. And that you and me and every other female person on earth probably has this idea so deeply ingrained in her psyche. It's some messed up shit. But it's also kind of amazing. Right? Holy crap. Imagine, if you will, a world where instead of that, there's something constructive and loving there. Right? Like, it's sad to think about, but necessary. Right. It is sad to think. And it's hard to think about on a personal level and to really recognize the form that it takes for you. That's hard and hurts a lot. Right. Um, and so nobody wants to do that. I understand that. But that's part of the reason. That's part of what happens to the protagonist is that a lot of stuff happens to her just because she's a woman. Or doesn't happen to her just because she's a woman, which, obviously to a modern eye is like, well, that's stupid, right? But that's the idea, a universal theme should on its face, like, again, not necessarily be something that smacks you because it's Victorian England. So, like, obviously, you know that going in. It's baked into the setting. Literally, I think some non-binary people are trying to say, I'm just a person, but the way they're doing it is recessive, right? Regressive, right? Because women are just people, right? Right. I'm not a woman, I'm just a person. But wait, but what are you saying? Yeah. Why do you have to negate your sex in order to just feel like a person? I got to that point at one point in my own journey, and that's a biggie, right? I guess just you and me now. I think everybody else has left. I can't wait to actually get you on the horn. That's going to be fun. Oh, yeah, that's the other thing, actually, that I was wondering about. It's like, okay, so we can record an interview, and I can edit it down to be as pretty as I can make it. But how are we going to do that? Like, we're going to record a Zoom call? And if so, I need to figure out how to do that. Um, it shows the level of my technical training because I graduated in 2007. So, Discord or Zoom. Okay. I didn't even know Discord did that. See, that's the level of my training and ability, my knowledge, because like I graduated in 2007. So I can do the recording, the editing, all that. I got that down. The streaming shit is a bit outside of my wheelhouse. Yeah, so what we would do is hypothetically like do a Zoom call and I would just record the screen, right? And then send that to my phone somehow to get it into my editing software. But I guess that would be on my end. I just have to wait to get dental work done or something. Like that's my main thing stopping me. Oh, okay. Respect. That sucks. I'll ask my fiance. He knows all about that shit. Okay, cool. Cool. Like plenty of people do, and I'm sure I could learn. I just have not really had the opportunity to learn. You know what I mean? And back when I did have the opportunity to learn, there just wasn't some of this technology yet. Yeah, so that's something that I don't think most feminist groups really do actually work on is the personal level internalized misogyny. Like, frankly, like if I were going to have like an in-person, like some sort of a women's working group, I have an autoimmune disease that takes teeth, basically. Ooh, that sucks. But yeah, I would have some kind of a weekly meeting where, the homework is to find some internalized misogyny in your life and bring it in and talk about it the next week. Like that would be. About the only way you'd really make any progress with that. I'm really getting through to everybody. It's like, no, we're all the problem. The problem's not over there. The problem's not over there. We can't project it onto, like, men are obviously. That would be amazing and super helpful. Am I on Twitter? Not anymore. I could be. But I dipped out of it before Elon Musk bought it just because I couldn't deal with all that. It was just one more thing to deal with. And I don't know. It fell off the priority list. And then he bought it, and all that just went absolutely insane. They have spaces where you can all talk. Oh. Oh, okay. So it's just audio, but like everybody can hear everybody? That's cool. But yeah, that would be about the only way you'd make any progress with people really taking that in. They're like, no, I am also part of the problem. It is in me, you know. The men are such an obvious scapegoat, right? For that, you know. And I completely do understand and empathize. And separatism is extremely important for everybody to some extent. But like, I wonder if just cutting all men out of your life isn't just like so you don't have to deal with the internalized misogyny anymore. So you just don't have to worry about it anymore. And like, God, I understand that. It's sweet. I've been kicked out of many feminist ones. Why? Pray tell, why? And then, girl, I gotta go. Like, I really do. I gotta alley-oop. Wait, did he take my car? No, okay. I gotta alley-oop up out of here in a minute and go and pick boy up from school. You know, I want to say I was in one of those like years ago, wearing makeup and getting vaccinated. Oh my God. Let me guess, you were pro both and they were con both? Which, like, what the fuck kind of feminist journey is that where you're going around telling other women what they should and shouldn't put on their face? What the hell kind of feminist journey is that? All right, I gotta go too. I'll let you know if I can't read the book. Okay, yeah, please do. That's bonkers. I'm so sorry. Kicking you out of spaces for having a different opinion. We have to agree to disagree. All right. I'll see you later. Maybe soon. Okay, bye.